Ascension messages. Questions and answers, coronavirus, lunar matrix, unreal humans, and 3D matrix.
Question. Thank you for your 2 updates. What you have presented resonates inside me, and there are so many questions I would like to ask. Just to start somewhere, I have read so much on social media about coronavirus, some supporting what the mainstream news and governments are telling us, and some contradicting what is actually happening here.
Answer. The short answer to your question: the coronavirus with its variant strains are little more than the common cold, and the world is being shut down by the official narrative, that is actually chasing little more than a head cold sniffle, that has less potency than an ordinary common cold or low-grade flu virus.
Question. Well, what about the tens of thousands that have died, and the many infections that are reported globally?
Answer. This requires the longer answer. As previously stated, humanity is at war with itself, and at a 3D level, your minds are being controlled by frequency perception technologies, and the dominant collective human frequency perception that is controlling your thought patterns is a weapon that regressive energies are using to control human perception. In short, mind control. The war we speak of is weaponized mind control, and the coronavirus has been weaponized for this purpose. As stated above, the coronavirus and its variants do exist, and in a healthy biological body these viruses are short-lived, and the symptoms are little more than sniffles. Yes, the world is being shut down chasing sniffles. This is the deception. A virus is just a protein, so small that it is almost undetectable, and like all viruses they need a host body to survive. They have a life force and a connection to source, and their survival depends upon having a host, and it is not in their interest to kill their host that sustains their life. All biological entities with a connection to source, i.e. ADMA, have a unique frequency that defines their biology. If you manipulate this biology by creating different artificial strains, or adaptations, these changes are only short-lived, simply because the new strain, or adaptation, has a different frequency than the frequency from source, that causes a dissonance in the revised biological frequency. Only after a few mutations, the dissonance created is neutralized by the DNA within the biology, reverting back to its original frequency emanating from source. Indeed, our genetically modified crops that initially seem to flourish and be resistant to the designer's specifications, then additional factors come into play, and they start to lose their vitality and quickly fail. This usually begins with failure in reproduction. In short, these new artificial strains fail and cease to survive. Similarly, the regressives, as spoken of before, have tried experimenting with humanity's biology, attempting to create slave races. However, all of these experiments have failed, as the complex biological systems have self-corrected and reverted back to the original ADMA frequency from source. After many attempts over thousands of years, the regressives gave up with this plan, i.e. experimenting with our biology, and found another easier way to control humans through mind control. The regressives gave away their connection to source, and effectively have no soul by disconnecting their ADMA from source, making them mortal. Human beings with a soul are immortal. Your incarnated physical biological body is just a fragment of who you really are. You exist in all densities and realities with countless incarnations, on and off Mother Earth. Your consciousness is not in your body, your consciousness works through your mind. When you leave this world physically, your consciousness continues your soul's journey, minus your physical body. The regressive reptilians have a long but finite life. They are seeking immortality, however, with their dominant regressive conscious frequencies, have excluded experiences through love and integration with source, and find nourishment in the polarized version of love, fear. In truth, there is no opposite to love, there is only resistance, and it is through this resistance that we create contrast to choose love. Returning to the coronavirus, even if it has been weaponized, genetically modified and attached to heavy metals, spread through the atmosphere as chemtrails onto an unsuspecting population, the weaponized virus adaptation would revert back to its former ADMA frequency within hours or days. Viruses are some of the fastest mutating cells that exist, and can mutate, for their survival, thousands of times in a day. As outlined above, it usually only takes a few reproduction cycles for this reversal back to the original ADMA frequency. We would now like to draw your attention to another weaponized technology, the 5G telecommunications media. These low-frequency generators emit military-grade weaponized destructive frequencies that damage through radiation human biology with dissident frequencies. The dissident frequencies also act as a mind control mechanism, weakening the ADMA connection to source. 5G is a very powerful tool as part of the regressive's mind control arsenal. The Chinese have been experimenting with 5G in China's cities. The 5G frequency network was manipulated and caused radiation sickness in the population, as an experiment for its effectiveness. Most of these casualties were rounded up by the authorities and taken to hospital for treatment. Radiation sickness and flu symptoms are very similar. Radiation sickness greatly lowers the immune system, and through both chemtrail contact and general social contact in hospitals, the coronavirus spread quickly with many fatalities. Similarly, in Italy, Spain and many other locations around the world, weaponized chemtrails loaded with the coronavirus and 5G weaponized technology unleashed onto the public are the main cause of this problem. We have spoken of the alliance other regressive off-planetary races, who are also battling for the control of humanity, have hijacked this situation and used it for their advantage. Their plan has been a one-world order and a global financial reset, together with the removal of more of humanity's civil liberties. Through the political two-party narrative that has been globally installed, and the control of mainstream media, together with false analysis and deceptive reporting, they have managed to lock the world down to a situation of global home detention for the unforeseeable future. So to summarize, the 200 trillion global annual GDP has been effectively shut down, with catastrophic long-term consequences to a global system that was bankrupt and based upon fake money, and the weapon was simply mind control.
Question. You indicated 4 probable outcomes, can you expand more on these?
Answer. There has never been a time in human history with such a temporal disruption in the more dominant frequency perceptual timelines. In other words, as a human race, any perceived stability in regular life has disappeared. Human consciousness is so fragmented, multiple timelines are appearing and fragmenting further, the past stability that humans thought was their stable reality has gone. These are very dangerous times for humanity, with the fragmentation of previously held dominant frequencies, i.e. timeline agreements held in the mass consciousness. Every individual soul is now creating and seeing their own dominant frequency reality construct, many of which are of a dissonance or negative frequency. In short, every human being is creating in their outer world the reflection of what is going on inside of them. And with the absence of a dominant mass frequency, billions of individual timelines are manifesting. We have indicated and outlined 4 of the most probable outcomes. There will of course be many variations on these that will be tailored to the observer. We are now in a temporal knot, and this plays into the hands of all of the regressive entities, both Cabal and the Alliance. As stated earlier, the battle is within humanity itself. We must win the hearts and minds of every soul and create a new 5D reality. From this temporal timeline disturbance, it is not only possible, it is inevitable, the outcome already exists for those who choose this new timeline reality. Our world is split literally with thousands of timelines, each held in place with its own dominant mass frequency agreements. All these Earths exist now, and are made manifest by the agreements based on perceptual awareness. The 4 principal scenarios that are today outlined above exist right now. Without the repetitiveness of running through them, they are held in the conscious focus awareness of every individual. In other words, whatever you believe in exists, and you are already on that timeline. As outlined earlier, your dominant frequency determines which timeline you are on. To jump timelines, you change your frequency. This temporal knot is in flux, and as many possibilities and probabilities that exist, many of these can manifest from one day to the next.
Question. You said on several occasions, humans with a soul. I thought all humans have a soul.
Answer. The regressive reptilians behind the Cabal are master geneticists, and they have managed to artificially create biology. This is of course how the human race was created. We are not a primary race. In other words, we are not direct fragments of source, We are a secondary race created for this experience within a matrix program, whereby a soul can fragment itself and take on biological physicality with a veil of forgetfulness, and incarnate onto this earth for a specific reason or experience, with forgetfulness of who we really are. This makes the experience real, and through contrast and the perception of linear time, the experience feels real. To the incarnated fragment of soul, the journey seems a lifetime, however to the immortal soul, it is perceived merely as if a nanosecond in time has passed. We have spoken before concerning the confinement of the regressive reptilians on Earth, 12,500 years ago. This was achieved by the Palladian High Council using a satellite, beaming specific low frequencies a 3D matrix onto the Earth. This satellite can be observed every day, or more accurately every night, the Moon. The Moon is hollow and 12 nuclear uranium-powered generators were installed. These generators are still in operation today, however 8 are now shut down and are inoperable. Compared to the present human technology today, the lunar matrix technology seems unbelievably advanced, however to the present Palladian Council of Light, this technology is ancient and problematic. These regressive reptilians were still in control of the lunar matrix until 2008, and after an off-planetary war, the Taygetian Palladians took back control of the lunar matrix. After much consideration, the Federation of Loving Benevolent Beings decided that it was not a good idea to switch off the matrix, as this would cause more confusion and fear. Also trapped in the lunar matrix is 4D, a caricature of 3D without biology. Lower 4D contains other non-physical aggressive beings, and some very scary monsters and space slugs that also feed off human fear. Should the matrix be shut off, the veil between 3 and 4D would disappear and freak most people out of their wits, amplifying the dominant dissident frequency. However, with higher technology and clean zero-point energy, the frequencies are being slowly and consistently raised. During the last few thousand years, these trapped regressive reptilians worked out that the Moon was confining them into a physical 3D reality, and with their own mind control, hijacked the frequency modulation that the lunar generators were emitting to their advantage. At their initial confinement they had lost most of their weaponry and technology, however with long lifespans and patience they worked out how to manipulate the situation to their advantage. Trapped with them were incarnated Lyrians in human form. These regressive reptilians found Earth to be comfortable, controlling humanity through fear, and had a food source of fresh flesh. During this period, more and more star seeds incarnated onto the Earth to assist and try to correct the situation for the trapped Lyrians, challenging the dominance of the regressive reptilians. As mentioned above, the reptilians attempted to create a slave race with the trapped humans, however, because of dissonance of the original ADMA frequencies, this slave race rebelled and reverted back to their original ADMA frequency, causing huge problems for the regressive reptilians. A new plan was hatched, more mind control using artificial biology animated with an artificial ADMA. The reptilians mastered the creation of artificial biology by understanding the harmonics of these frequencies, and kept experimenting with understanding the harmonics of the original frequencies connected to source. These early biological human creations often mutated into abominations, part animal, part human and disfigurations. Most of these artificial biological beings were very problematic. However, once the artificial ADMA frequencies were mastered and applied to the artificial biology, they created a more stable human being that was programmed almost identically to that of a human being with a soul connection to source. These unreal humans were part of the lunar program. They have feelings and emotions and can reproduce, and to the uninitiated, indistinguishable from a human being with a soul. These unreal people became their slaves and a food source. However, more importantly, when their numbers became large enough, they would hold in place the dominant mass frequency of fear, preventing the star seeds from spiritually evolving. However, over the years, many did and left the planet. Today, many artificial biological humans are presently incarnated globally. They are holding the mass conscious frequencies in the lower vibrations. They are a program and a part of the plan to keep the star seeds trapped here on Earth. If today the star seeds awoke and collectively agreed upon a new 5D reality, it would occur in an instant. It is the trapped star seeds that are holding the matrix in place. Yes, as outlined before, the star seeds are the source, they are holding this matrix through mind control in place. We have created the situation we are in today and can easily in an instant change this world. As we are the creator, our thoughts, our imagination, is our creativity. We can change anything, all it requires is our focus.
Question. How can we know who is real and who is not?
Answer. From a 3D perspective, it is not immediately obvious, however once you get to know that person, it will become obvious in the rigidity of their thinking and their perceptual awareness of all things. Many of them will be intelligent, stylish, even charismatic beings, but they have no soul, and it becomes obvious no one is at home, and that they are a program, i.e. hive mentality. Even if you explain all that is happening on Earth right now, they will not understand, as it is not their program. In most cases you will never know from a 3D perspective. Therefore, always honor and respect all beings. Do not try and work out who is real and who is not. However, knowing this will help you understand why you cannot relate to them, and or understand why they do not get your picture of reality. It is simply not written into their program.
Question. How many star seeds are on the planet?
Answer. Approximately 1 in 5 of the population are star seeds, and approximately half of these have chosen at a 5D or above level not to wake up. However, they have chosen to be here on Earth at these times of enormous change.
Question. My maths is sending me into shock. Do you mean 4 out of every 5 humans are unreal?
Answer. That is correct. Every soul that is incarnated at these or any other times are star seeds, and as stated above, only approximately half of the star seeds will awaken. It is important to remember that most of the images that are shown to you on YouTube, social media, and mainstream media, are events that are happening in your outer world, and you are not present in that outer world. They are either images or information that evokes a response from you. They are there as a contrast to show you what you do not require in your life. The dying, starving children, and all those suffering images that you see, are mainly unreal humans. Again, they are there to evoke an emotional response from you. That is how the lunar matrix works.
Question. Thank you for answering my questions. I have many more, as there is so much here for me to process and consider. Thank you again.
Tawana, Tawa, adventure with joy with all its multiple meanings.